All right, guys, let's dive into the latest surrounding the Chicago Bears as they get ready for Week 2, because there's a lot to unpack here with the injury situation and some possible changes coming on offense. For Bears fans, it's that mixed bag kind of week where you've got some positives to take away from the latest injury report, but also some concerning updates that could impact the game plan against Detroit. So let's start with the Bears side of things. Kyler Gordon is still on the shelf, and that's not what you want to hear. Officially, he was listed as not participating, and while it was technically just a walkthrough, those estimations are usually pretty spot on. He's dealing with a hamstring issue, and that's one of those tricky injuries where even a minor strain tends to keep players out for at least a couple of weeks. He actually told reporters that he felt the hamstring tighten up on Sunday, so it's possible he tweaked it late last week without realizing how bad it was. If that's the case, I don't think anybody should expect him to be out there this weekend. That leaves a hole in the secondary, and when you're facing a Lions team that likes to spread the ball around, that absence could loom large. Meanwhile, one new and unexpected name popped up on the report: Grady Jarrett. He was listed as a DNP with a knee issue. That definitely raises eyebrows because he wasn't on anyone's radar as being banged up, and even Ben Johnson didn't mention new injuries after the game. So either he tweaked something and tried to play through it, or it might just be some knee soreness that flared up afterward. Remember, Jarrett is a veteran who tore his ACL a few years ago, so any kind of knee issue is worth monitoring closely. Usually if it's just maintenance, it gets labeled as rest, not a body part, so his status the rest of the week will tell us a lot. Now, there are also some encouraging signs. Roscoe Johnson was limited with a foot problem, but limited is better than out, and it sounds like he's trending in the right direction. Jalen Johnson was listed with a calf and a groin, but still managed to be a full participant, which suggests he's close to getting back on the field. He even went through a full workout before Monday night's game and looked like he was on the verge of being active. The hope now is that he can stack some practices together, get his conditioning right, and be ready to roll on Sunday. Having him out there would be a huge boost for this defense. Another good sign is that TJ Edwards, who couldn't go in the opener, was back in a limited capacity with his hamstring. That's progress after being completely sidelined last week. And if he can keep ramping up over the next couple of days, maybe he gives it a shot against Detroit. Josh Blackwell and DJ Moore were both dealing with groin issues, but they participated, which means they're more likely to suit up. And let's not forget that rookie tackle Darnell Wright isn't even on the report anymore, which suggests he's feeling good heading into Week 2. The bottom line with the Bears injury report is that you've got key guys trending up, but the Gordon situation is a blow. Hamstrings are brutal because they linger and can flare back up if a player tries to push too soon. The team has to be cautious because losing him long-term would be far worse than holding him out another week or two. Switching over to Detroit, their own report had some surprises. Jack Campbell, the linebacker who's become such a steady presence, showed up with an ankle injury. Believe it or not, this is the first time in his Lions career he's even been listed, so that's something you circle right away. Their left tackle Taylor Decker also did not practice due to a shoulder injury. He did speak with the media and said it's something he's managing and that he hopes to play, but for a player at his position, shoulder problems are no joke. If he's even limited, that could really affect Detroit's ability to protect the quarterback, especially since their interior line struggled in the opener. Losing both Campbell and Decker, even temporarily, would be significant. They also had Sione Vaki limited with a hamstring and a couple of other names like Trevor Nowaski banged up with an elbow. Some defensive backs were listed but practiced fully, so not as much concern there. Still, when you see cornerstone players like Decker and Campbell show up, it's notable. If the Bears' defensive front can take advantage of a weakened line, that's where this matchup could swing. Now let's talk about Ben Johnson, because he admitted something that Bears fans have been clamoring about since Week 1. He said flat out that he needs to call more runs. In the opener against Minnesota, the Bears had under 20 designed runs, and that's not going to cut it. He even mentioned that Kyle Monangai, a rookie who had been hyped as someone he trusts, didn't get a single carry. That was baffling because early in the game, Monangai caught a pass and moved the chains, so it looked like he'd be involved. But from there, nothing. 0 carries. Instead, DJ Moore had 3 rushing attempts on simple handoffs, DeAndre Swift had 17 carries, and Caleb Williams ended up being the leading rusher with 58 yards on 6 scrambles. That can't be the formula. A rookie quarterback should not be your top rusher in a game. It's one thing for quarterbacks to pick up chunk plays when plays break down, but when your running backs are averaging barely 3 yards per carry, you're putting too much on Williams' shoulders. In fact, by the numbers, the Bears had the least effective rushing attack in the entire NFL in Week 1. That is the opposite of what Johnson's offense was built on in Detroit, where balance and a strong run game are the foundation. So what does that mean moving forward? It means you got to find out what Midway can bring to the table. Give him a handful of carries. See if his physical style between the tackles can change the tone of the running game. No one's saying he should suddenly be the feature back, but if Swift isn't getting it done and Moore is being used more creatively, why not mix in the rookie? He was active for a reason, and the offense desperately needs a spark on the ground. Sticking with the run, even when it's not working early, can pay off in the second half. We saw Kevin O'Connell do exactly that with Minnesota. His team wasn't gaining much at first, but by the third and fourth quarter, the defense started to wear down and the runs got more effective. That's the kind of patience the Bears need to show. The final note here is something that doesn't impact this week directly, but could matter soon. Reports out of Dallas suggest that cornerback Darren Bland, who just signed a new deal, may be sidelined for a couple of weeks with a foot injury. Why does that matter for Chicago? Because the Cowboys are coming to Soldier Field in Week 3. If Bland can't go, that's one less weapon in the Dallas secondary, and it could give the Bears a small break when they host one of the NFC's toughest defenses. This upcoming matchup against Detroit is already shaping up to be critical. The Bears have to prove that their Week 1 struggles on the ground were more about play calling than personnel. Ben Johnson seems to know that he abandoned the run too quickly, and the injury reports for both sides could shift how this game plays out. For the Bears, getting Edwards and Jalen Johnson back would be huge, but losing Kyler Gordon hurts. For the Lions, the uncertainty around Decker and Campbell could tilt things in Chicago's favor if they can exploit it. All right, let's keep rolling with this because there's still plenty to break down about what this Bears team needs to do heading into Week 2 and why the matchup with Detroit could look a lot different than what we saw on opening weekend. The conversation really has to stay on the running game because that's where everything seemed to fall apart. The numbers tell the story. Caleb Williams led the team with 58 rushing yards on 6 scrambles, and that simply cannot become the weekly trend. When your quarterback is your most dangerous weapon on the ground, it usually means the offense is out of rhythm and lacking balance. Sure, quarterbacks are supposed to give you that extra dimension, but they should not be the focal point of your rushing attack. That's a recipe for wearing him down and forcing him to do way too much in his rookie season. When you look back at what DeAndre Swift and DJ Moore produced, the efficiency just wasn't there. Swift averaged a little over 3 yards a carry, and Moore was under 3 on his design handoffs. That doesn't move the chains, and it doesn't set up play action, which is supposed to be one of the easiest ways to help a young quarterback find rhythm. Defenses don't respect the fake if they know your running backs aren't a threat to rip off chunk plays. That's where the lack of Midway was so confusing. The coaching staff talked all offseason about him being a player they trust, a rookie who could give them toughness between the tackles, and yet he never got a single chance. That's the kind of decision you look back on after the game and say, what were we doing? Ben Johnson himself admitted it. He flat out said he didn't call enough runs, and that's not how he wants his offense to function. In Detroit, he built his reputation on staying balanced, using the run to control tempo, and protecting his quarterback by making defenses honor every part of the field. He knows the Bears need that same identity. If they want Williams to develop properly, he can't be asked to throw 40 passes every week with no ground support. The best friend of a rookie quarterback is a strong running game that keeps him out of obvious passing downs. That's how you avoid those third and long situations where defenses pin their ears back and blitz. And let's not ignore the ripple effect this has on the defense. When the offense abandons the run early, the defense ends up staying on the field longer. They get worn down in the second half, and suddenly you're chasing a game you could have controlled. That's exactly what happened in Week 1. The Vikings didn't run it effectively early, but they stuck with it. By the fourth quarter, their backs were getting 5 and 6 yards a pop. The Bears' defense was gassed, and that was all she wrote. Chicago can't afford to repeat that mistake. Now, to be clear, nobody is saying Williams can't carry the load at times. He showed poise, he made plays, and his ability to extend drives with his legs is a huge weapon. But the plan can't be for him to lead the team in rushing. That's not sustainable over a 17-game season. What you want is for him to be the guy who occasionally breaks your back on 3rd and 6 with a scramble, not the guy leading the team because the running backs aren't producing. That's why Midway has to be part of the rotation this week. Even if he only gets 8 or 10 touches, that could be enough to change the rhythm and add a dimension Detroit has to account for. On the flip side, the Lions' defense is dealing with its own questions. If Jack Campbell's ankle limits him or keeps him out, that's a big hole in the middle. Campbell has been the heartbeat of their linebacking core, the guy who cleans things up when opponents try to run downhill. Without him, the Lions could struggle to contain interior runs, and that's exactly where a guy like Midway could thrive. Taylor Decker's shoulder issue is just as concerning for Detroit. He protects the blind side, and if he's not right, it gives the Bears' pass rush a real opportunity to make noise. The Bears' defensive front looked sharp in spurts against Minnesota, and if they can disrupt things at the line of scrimmage, that keeps the game in reach. There's also that little wrinkle about Week 3 against Dallas. With Darren Bland potentially missing time because of a foot injury, the Bears might catch a break in the schedule. Facing the Cowboys' secondary without one of their top corners is a much different challenge, and it could help Williams settle in at home. Of course, the Bears can't afford to look ahead. They've got to handle Detroit first, but it's worth keeping in mind how these injury situations across the league can swing momentum. The message here for Chicago is patience and commitment. Johnson has to stick with the ground game, even if it's ugly early. 2-yard runs aren't glamorous, but they set the stage for bigger gains later. They keep you on schedule, they give your linemen a chance to lean on defenders, and they allow your quarterback to operate in manageable situations. That's football 101. And it's exactly what this team needs right now. It's also a way to protect your defense. The longer your offense controls the ball, the fresher your pass rush is in the 4th quarter, and that's when you can close out games. So Week 2 becomes a test not just of talent, but of philosophy. Will the Bears show that they can learn from Week 1, or will they make the same mistakes again and put everything on their rookie quarterback? The injuries on both sides will factor in, but the identity question is bigger. Are the Bears going to be a balanced offense that makes opponents respect both the run and the pass? Or are they going to be one-dimensional and hope Williams can play hero every Sunday? Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are already echoing through the NFL corridors. Caleb Williams, the tight end who has been a cornerstone for the Bears, may be on the move. Sources close to the locker room hint that the talented player, known for his clutch performances and relentless work ethic, is exploring options beyond Chicago. While nothing has been confirmed, the mere possibility has sent fans and analysts alike into a frenzy, speculating where the gifted pass catcher could land next. Williams, who has been instrumental in several of the Bears' most memorable plays, has been quietly building a reputation not just as a reliable target, but as a player capable of shifting the momentum of any game. His potential departure would leave a significant void in the team's offensive strategy, and insiders suggest the front office is bracing for negotiations that could get intense. Rumors suggest that rival teams have already started soft inquiries, with some franchises seeing this as a rare chance to add a dynamic presence to their roster. The chatter in Chicago is palpable. Fans are torn between hope that Williams might stay and fear that the team could lose a key piece of its puzzle. Social media is ablaze with speculation, ranging from potential trades to contract disputes, and even whispers of a surprise free agent move. While the Bears management has remained tight-lipped, some unnamed sources indicate discussions behind the scenes are ongoing and that decisions could come swiftly, shaking up the league in the process. If the unthinkable happens and Williams departs, analysts predict a ripple effect throughout the NFC, with teams recalibrating their offensive plays and scouting reports. Meanwhile, Chicago faces the daunting task of finding a replacement, not just in skill, but in leadership and presence. One thing is certain, wherever Caleb Williams lands, he won't just join a team. He'll make waves. Until official word drops, the NFL world will be watching, guessing, and debating, as the rumor mill keeps the city of Chicago and football fans everywhere on edge. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.